This video is a continuation of my previous videos where we created these animated and interactive icons for content and analytics. If you want to watch them, check the link on the screen and in the description below. And today we're going to make one for dashboard. Again, I'm going to start by using an instance of one of our previous icons. I'm going to detach that component and I'm going to use this as a guide to create the icon for dashboard. So first of all, I'm going to press R to go to the rectangle tool and create a rectangle. This rectangle is going to be 56.5 and 58 pixels tall. It's going to have rounded corners of 15. And we're going to duplicate that and create a square that's 55 on both sides with corners of 12. And then we're going to position these exactly like these two, like the guide. So 10.5 and 12.5 from the top and right edge respectively. So that's 12.5, and then from the top we're gonna adjust the Y. Okay, and also we're gonna use the text tool to create a text that says dashboard, the size of which is gonna be font size 30, and the font is gonna be Avenir Next Demi Bold, with a distance of 55 from this square. All of this is gonna be inside the frame, so I'm gonna select all of this and then press Command Option G and say name this frame dashboard. And also you can see that there's a certain distance, so the frame is bigger than the icon right here. So I'm gonna see how much pixels are there. We have 12.5 from the top and then 12 from the bottom. So this means we're gonna have to add 24.5 pixels to the height of this frame. And since it's now 65.5, we're gonna go plus 24.5 and then center that like this. And then from the left edge, that's gonna be easy, 30 pixels. So we have that. I'm just gonna quickly highlight the background of these so that you can see what's happening. We're going to center this text vertically against the frame as well, and then just make sure that it's the correct distance from the icon, and this means 55, and like this. For now we will actually hide the text, so we will set the opacity to 0 and just take some time to create this icon. So we have an icon for analytics and for content that are blue and red respectively. And I thought it would be nice to have, again, a different color for dashboard. And let's try yellow. Why don't we? So we'd go for like this color, right? So nice, not completely 100% yellow, but just slightly to the orange red side of things. So this color. We're gonna also add a new fill, and the fill is gonna be like a slightly stronger yellow, more to the actual yellow side of things. And then we're gonna turn that into a radial gradient. That's gonna be originating from this bottom center of the yellow background of this new icon. So we get this nice effect, we get this look. That's what we are going for, because without this gradient, I would say this is visually more interesting to do it like this, right? We're also gonna set some more effects to this layer. We're gonna go to effects and click the plus here. We have a drop shadow. The drop shadow is gonna have the following parameters. In the X window is gonna be 5, then 10 in the Y window. So we're gonna go 5 and 10. And also the blur is gonna be 12, while the color, we're gonna sample that from our background. So we're gonna go here and paste that here, and just the opacity is gonna be, I would say 24, 25, something around 20, 25. I think that looks about right. So there is this nice little glowing effect that we are going for, similar to all the other icons. Here you can see a subtle red glow, and here you can see a blue glow, and right here you see a yellow glow. In terms of this second square, this is going to be white. It's going to have a white fill, but the fill is going to be partially transparent. And to be specific, it's going to be 40%. And then on top of that, you will have, again, a white fill. That's going to be a radial gradient. It's gonna originate from here, from the top left. That one is gonna have 45. It's gonna have 2 fills. Additionally, we're gonna add an effect that's called background blur. You might have already guessed what that does, it blurs the background. So similar to here, it's gonna happen here as well. And the amount of the blur is gonna be 20, right? And then we're gonna also add a stroke, and the stroke is gonna be black, but it's gonna be a radial gradient again, originating from the bottom right. It's gonna be 2 pixels, similar to this one. There's also gonna be a white radial gradient in the stroke. So I'm gonna again go here and then click here and then radial, originating from the top left. And in terms of the opacity of these effects, the black one is gonna have 13. So 13, 19 for the white one. And you can see that since we have a yellow background, this really blends in with the white background. I mean the front square, right? It's better on gray backgrounds, but we still might want to do something about this. So why don't we like play around with this black gradient? For example, it could not only originate from bottom right, but it could continue like all the way up here. And you can see that it adds this line here. So something like that, you know, just very subtle, just so that it doesn't blend in this much with the background, just so like this, for example, right? I think this is good. And that's our icon base. So that's nicely consistent with these remaining two. And our dashboard icon, it's gonna be consisting of like squares, panels. So you can see that for the analytics icon we have right here, we have like bars representing bar charts, something that you can see quite often when going through any kind of analytics. So that's kind of representative of that part of any app, any software. But for dashboard, I would say what's characteristic for these parts of the interface, that would be like panels, right? So we're gonna just use a couple rectangles to create like, and these panels are gonna be like, there's gonna be like 4 of them, like this, for example. It's gonna be maybe narrower, you know, something like this. I think that's like representative of what a dashboard may look like. The spacing is going to be 3 pixels, and then from the edges that's going to be 10 on each side. So this is actually 11. So I just increase this, right? Something like this. This could be our dashboard icon. And of course we need to mimic the style, the visual style of all of these. So we're gonna first of all make them white. Then we're gonna add to all of those, we're gonna add an inner shadow. And the inner shadow is gonna have like these parameters, minus 1.5, minus 1, and then 2. So that's minus 1.5, minus 1, and then 2. And it's gonna mimic the color of the icon, or just like use the color of the icon, right? With some transparency that works well. And finally, it's gonna have like a drop shadow. And the drop shadow is gonna have the following parameters: 0.5, 2.5, and 3. 0.5, 2.5, and 3. And the opacity is 8. So it's very, very subtle. And it's gonna also be rounded, maybe like this. I think this kind of looks like a chewing gum, doesn't it? So that's quite interesting and unexpected, to be honest. And now I also figured that this is really blending in with the background more than I would like. So why don't we try, like, instead of one of the white backgrounds, that it's gonna be black. So this is maybe too strong, that's too dark. So we're gonna just like play around with the opacity. Opacity could be like 7, maybe 8. And here you can see the difference, right? I mean, it isn't like absolutely consistent with all the remaining icons, but if we are completely consistent, then it doesn't look good, right? It's very maybe we could also try and use like yellow, like dark yellow, something like this. I think the result would be the same, wouldn't it? So like just using a different color so that it's all nicely visible and pleasant to use. Good. I also figured we could try like one of those is gonna be overlay, like a different blending mode. And maybe it could be like, I'm just experimenting here. But this could be like, I think we're gonna keep the white. We're gonna keep the white. Or the white could be just, yeah, I think this is good. So the white is gonna be like 35% opacity. That looks good. I think that's better than any other blend mode, or just, you know, I think it just makes it look a bit more interesting. Or like one of them could be partially transparent like this, maybe 35, that's a bit too low. could go for like 60. Yeah, I think, yeah, we could try this out. Yeah, I think this looks nice. And so now we are ready for preparing the individual states. So we're gonna turn this into a component by going here, selecting this frame and then clicking this, create a component. And we're gonna create another state, another variant. And if you'd like to learn more about components and variants, check the link on the screen and in the description below. So we have two variants, and I'm gonna turn one of them into an active state similar to this. So what needs to be done first is selecting this background and then stretching it all the way to the edges of this frame. And I'm not sure yet how wide exactly should this be. That's all gonna depend on the size of the text. So I'm gonna make that text visible, move that closer. This could be white, I think, to be consistent with all the rest. It's a bit on the edge in terms of legibility, but I think this still could work. Yeah, I don't like using white font on a yellow background. I don't think you should be doing that. But in this case, it's maybe if we reduced, yeah, I'm gonna reduce the, yes, decrease the opacity of the second yellow gradient, right? So that makes it better. And the position of this part of the icon is gonna be, of course, positioned in the middle, 17.5 on each side. Move that by half a pixel to 17.5. And from the left side, that's gonna be 30, and that's already 30. And from between the text and the icon, that's gonna be 17.5. I'm gonna move that here and then add 17.5 to the X position of the text, 17.5. And from the right edge, kind of this space, that's gonna be 35 pixels. We have 20.5, so this means adding 14.5 pixels, 14.5. And now the size of the frame, that's gonna have to be as wide as this yellow rectangle. So first of all, I'm going to select the variant, press enter, and then set constraints of all of these elements to top and left. This means we can do this, right? Without scaling any of the elements contained within that frame. I'm going to have to specify it manually, so 291.5, 1.5. Awesome. This is going to be rounded all the way to 45. And now we also need to add effects to this rectangle. It has a drop shadow, inner shadow, and another inner shadow. So I'm gonna go here and then, oh, so the drop shadow is already set from the previous variant, all right? Actually, we're gonna have to specify that here. So inner shadow with these parameters, and that's 2, 2, and 4. Inner shadow, 2, 2, and 4. 26, and it's white, right? 26. And then similarly, gonna have like -2, -2, and 7, and that one's gonna be like a dark color sampled from here, so yellow, and then make it darker like this. Yep. And I just realized that I've applied these effects to this one, this state, and I'm gonna have to copy that, select this, remove the one inner shadow that I forgot about, and then paste that here, right? Command V. Awesome. So I'm gonna also increase the size of this frame to match this state. And we're also gonna have to create another state for hover. So I'm gonna select this one and then plus, whoops, this one and plus, and I'm gonna switch these. All right, so that's the default state, that's the hover state, and that's the active state. So in this hover state, there is a small change where the background shape is gonna move like this. It's going to be centered against this smaller square, and that square is going to be centered against the frame vertically, right? So that's going to be like this. Again, it's going to be 17.5. 17.5. Remember, if you're doing smart animation, you need to make sure that the structure as well as the layer names of all these layers amongst individual variants need to be consistent so that Figma knows that belongs together, right? So for example, this specific little rectangle is going to be called the same across all these variants. In each of these cases, it's called rectangle 9. So that's good. The size of this square is going to be 75 with rounded corners of 25, I think. And then that's centered against this, position 8.5. So this now follows the same structure as these ones. Also notice that these white elements on each of these icons, you know, the play button and the bars, they change a little bit when hovering over the icon. I'm gonna just do something like this. I'm gonna decrease the size 5 pixels, right? And then increase this here by 5 pixels and here as well. This is going to be this small, tiny, maybe we could even push this further, 12. So this is going to be the change. So if we now connect these with smart animation, it's gonna move this yellow square as well as change the sizes of these tiny squares, right? Similar to here. And now we're gonna prototype these. So I'm gonna go to prototype and then click and drag this state from this state over to this one. First, we're gonna name our states. So we have state, property state, and these values are gonna be called default, and then hover, and then active. So this one should be, right, no, this one will be hover, and this one will be active, right? So it got mixed up. And this interaction is gonna be while hovering, change to state hover, smart animate, and around 100 milliseconds. Or let's check how long this takes here. Okay, so that's 200 milliseconds actually. 200. And then from here, if you click it, on click, change to state active, smart animate, 200 milliseconds. And both of these are gonna be ease in and out. And finally, we're gonna remove the white background from these. So I'm gonna select all of these and then click here. Let's see what we built. Let's go to assets and then dashboard, click and drag over here. So there might be some problems. There's maybe something I missed. So we're just gonna test and fix that if necessary. So you can see that this feels very nice. This is nicely consistent, looks as if it's belonging together. And here we go. All right, so this is looking good. We have this hover interaction where, as I said, it's gonna change these rectangles. It's gonna move the yellow rectangle behind the second one like this. So the interaction is same for all of these. And then when I click, it activates like this. So you might or might not have noticed that when I actually, when I click it, the text is it's transitioning from black to white. Watch the text closely. So you can see that it was black at the beginning. We want to fix that. We want that to be white all the time. And whoops, that's the instance. We're going to have to edit the component. So that's black, right? Turn to white, same here. And then also, we just forgot about the last interaction, which is mouse leave change to default. So mouse leave change to state default. So now it's behaving identical for all of these icons. And it also has a hover state. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate you leaving a like. And if you're into this type of stuff, definitely go and check out my channel for more tutorials on Figma, UX, UI, and digital design. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.